Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, under quarantine
Yes,
for,
so,
for, for real this time.
yeah, needless to say, fun times all around.
Yep. I have a dog with me at least. You can probably hear him. He'll probably be making a lot of sound as this goes on.
Yep.
But
Also, I literally just woke up, so I am a little groggy, so hopefully people will be patient with me today. I mean, I don't even have my contact lenses, and I'm wearing my glasses. I rarely wear these damn things.
I just had to fish out an old pair of glasses that I had for their nose pads, because the nose pads on my current set that I'm wearing, something happened and it broke off, or the screw came out and it fell off. I don't know exactly, but Amazon said it would take about 2 weeks to ship a replacement, and I couldn't find any repair kits like Walmart or the dollar store anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to fish out an old pair that I had from like 15 years ago. But hey, I mean, it works. In these times, I mean, you gotta have some level of ingenuity, I guess.
Pretty much. Anywho, so I found probably the best way to self-quarantine, though, aside from being, aside from like having a rotating cavalcade of hookers coming in and out of my apartment.
I don't know if I call that much of a quarantine, Micah.
Yeah, it's my version of quarantine. But 4K television plus Dolby Digital surround sound.
There you go. That's something.
Yes, it is quite nice.
I need to upgrade my rig, because my TV is a 36-inch 3D TV. That's how old it is. Back when 3D TVs were actually still being made. So yeah, I need to upgrade my rig at some point, but right now, not the time. Even with the Trump bucks, not the time.
Yeah, see, I remember there was a point where Killzone 3 had a 3D function on it.
Yes,
and you had to have a 3D TV for it.
Yep, I played it.
And what was funny about it, I reviewed that game for Blistered Thumbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Joe messaging me on Skype. He goes, "Are you going to be able to review the 3D part of this?" I said, no. He goes, "Why not?" I'm like, "I don't have a 3D TV nor the funds to afford one." And he goes, "Oh, shit." I'm like, "Yeah, we're just going to have to leave it out." He's like, "I might look around for other people on the staff to see if anybody owns a 3D TV." I'm like, "Dude, think about this for a second. We're a bunch of broke nerds in the middle of a recession. None of us own a 3D television."
Nobody. Nobody. The only reason why I have mine is because, it was passed on to me, but we got it for sale, I think $150 or $200 during a Black Friday sale, and it was also on clearance.
Oh, okay.
So, screw it, A couple of games I have played on. I've played Killzone 3 in 3D. I've played Uncharted 3 in 3D. I've played Halo CE Anniversary in 3D. That one is really not good. And Super Stardust HD in 3D, which actually is pretty good. That's the only one that I think is actually worth a damn. But the others are just, it's nothing special. Killzone 3 was pretty interesting, though, just because the depth of field, it's almost like you're playing old school Quake, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But and you have to adjust to that. But it was okay. Once you adjusted to it, then it was pretty standard. But
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I heard like there were interesting things about it, but I'm like, you know, not really for me. You know,
Yeah,
it's not worth buying a television over.
Yeah, it's just a gimmick.
Yeah. Now 4K is nice, but it's just an increase in resolution.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And even then, it took me forever to get it like set up properly on my PS4.
Yeah.
Because you have to switch the HDMI type in the settings, and it doesn't tell you to do that. In other TVs, it just says enable 4K, and then bing bang boom, you're done. So,
yeah.
But either way, I will say
it wouldn't benefit me either way because I don't have a Xbox One X nor a PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
So I couldn't take advantage of it anyway.
So for me, since I can, I will say the PS4 Spider-Man game in 4K, pretty incredible.
So I'm told.
And it's a great game regardless.
Yeah.
The DLC's trash, but the main game is great.
Yeah.
Then again, that's what you get when you make your lead writer on your downloadable content Sam Maggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, all the female characters in this suddenly are much worse, written much worse than they were in the main game. I wonder why that is.
You get what you fucking deserve.
Yep.
And you get what you pay for.
Exactly. Don't hire Jezebel writers. Like, seriously.
No.
They basically... She's a diversity hire for Insomniac.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? I'm tempted because I know where...
that or she Zoe Quinned her way into the building. Just sucked all the dicks. I'm sorry. I have to rant about this. Because she's really a very bad writer. Like, she has 0 qualifications for that job. And it's kind of funny. Because you're just like, who's she fucking? You know? Who's she fucking? Whose dick did she suck to get that job? But I like, just my personal opinion, it's probably not dick, it's probably dicks, plural. So, simultaneously.
37 in a row.
Yes.
In the parking lot. But no, I'm tempted to like nail my 95 Theses to their door because I know they're Raleigh or Durham, whichever one. The Raleigh-Durham area is kind of blends into one after a while, but I know where their studio is here, so I'm tempted. Dog, why are you barking so much? You don't come out.
Well, that's the thing about it, man. It's like, when it comes to comic book characters, like, you don't really want to entrust them to people who think that the original everything of that character was racist, sexist, bigoted, and homophobic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't tell somebody to write a character that they actively hate.
Yeah. It's like, grab people who have a bit of reverence for the character, because they're going to treat it a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still genuinely surprised that they based the story of that game on the early parts of the Dan Slott run. Like, that was interesting to me, because Dan early on in Spider-Man was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't as good as JMS, but he was still pretty good. You know, it's just later on he got so full of himself, and then now Marvel's realizing he can't sell comics without Spider-Man attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah, because he kind of fucked up Iron Man pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get to it.
Yep. Let's do this thing. The thing that we're here for.
Where should we start? Politics or entertainment?
Let's get politics out of the way. It feels like, I mean, even everyday conversations that I'm having with people are nothing but politics. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way so we can get to the fun stuff later. Yeah.
Well, we will go ahead and lie on our backs and think of England for a minute. So,
Bite the pillow.
Yeah. 5-star Golden God, who is a new patron, by the way, says, what is our opinion on dissident right-wingers like E. Michael Jones blaming libertarianism for the current woes that Western civilization is dealing with? E. Michael Jones is a fucking idiot. But then again, a lot of these dissident right-wingers, which is a great way for saying basically alt-righters, because that's what E. Michael Jones is, or they're just fervent racists, or anti-Semites, especially E. Michael Jones. He fucking hates Jews for some reason. He's a crackpot. But, blaming libertarianism, a political ideology that everybody is pretty much too scared to subscribe to these days, might be one of the funniest grasps at trying to stay relevant that I could ever think of. Yeah, let's try to start a fight with the libertarians. That's gonna get you attention. Shut the fuck up.
It demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of libertarianism anyway.
Well, he doesn't understand anything he talks about.
No, clearly not. But
a lot of these people,
it's the same from the left too. That's the problem. Like, the left likes to use libertarians as their punching bags as well. I guess because, they're not far enough right to be considered an enemy, but not far enough left to be considered an ally. I don't get it. I genuinely do not understand it. I mean, the libertarian creed is kind of simple. Don't fuck with me. Just leave me alone. It doesn't get much more simple than that. How is that destroying Western civilization? I don't know. I mean, you think collectivism would be more of a problem amongst Western societies than
that's the thing. Like, these dissident right wingers, or whatever you want to call them, they're all collectivists. They're all authoritarians.
Well, yeah, it's horseshoe theory in action there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either everyone starves equally under communism, or
everybody roasts equally under fascism.
Yeah, that too.
So,
yeah, I mean, pick your poison. No, I'd rather stick to myself on my own land with my guns and not drink any poison. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Screw all y'all.
Exactly.
In the immortal words of Strong Bad, screw all y'all.
Yeah. The libertarian principles are just simple to follow. And I don't agree with libertarians on everything. Again, I tend to lean that way these days more than I ever have before.
Well, the Libertarian Party specifically, blaming
the Libertarian Party for anything is ridiculous, because how can you blame what now might as well be non-existent? Like, you guys got to understand, after the last election, the Libertarian Party is pretty much dead.
Yep.
Like, because they took the one opportunity that they had for potential political relevance as a third option, and then they threw it away on two guys that aren't libertarians.
They could have easily gotten their 5%. And 5% is what they were aiming for. They weren't aiming to win.
Yeah.
It was to get the 5% to guarantee federal funding, which would have made them a legitimate political party.
Yep.
But they squandered it. They failed. And it was easier than ever. But nope. Ah, that makes me so mad. But
Gary Johnson, really? What is Aleppo? Ha! I'm Gary Johnson. I'm high all the time. He and Bill Weld, I swear, are like two of the dumbest people in politics.
That's the thing. Bill Weld just
isn't a libertarian.
No, he's not. But he keeps his mouth shut just enough for people to not understand it either way. Who was his running mate in 2012?
I don't even remember.
Because Gary Johnson also ran in 2012. I forget. I think he was a judge of some sort. I don't remember.
Either way, blaming libertarianism for what's going on in society and cultural issues is blatantly disingenuous, to say the least. It has no bearing in reality, and you can't blame it for society's ills. Society, the things that are going on in our culture right now run deeper than political ideology, and to blame it on one or another is short-sighted.
Exactly.
There's infectious problems that infect both sides right now.
Yep.
and people are unwilling to look at what the real fact of what's going on is, and that's we have a problem in our own fucking souls.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, retreating into tribalism isn't going to solve the fucking problem.
Yep. All right. Kale Bach wants to know, how do you explain the excuse me. How do you explain the character of God and the controversial orders he gave his followers in the Bible to interested parties, i.e. ordering Abraham to kill Isaac and the Canaanites? Well, they were at war with the Canaanites, so that's not exactly difficult to explain. Ordering Abraham to kill Isaac, he didn't kill Isaac, though. And he never was going to. You know, God was never going to put him in a situation where he actually killed him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. It was a test of faith. It's an extreme test, but it's one that really needs to be understood.
I mean, it's like Job, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was an extreme test of faith. And in the end, you know, Job was given twice over what was taken from him.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, even if you were to call that one like, you know, God wronging Job for whatever reason, it was corrected.
Yep.
Just like with Abraham and Isaac, you know.
So I have a book recommendation for this particular subject, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So you're going to want to look up a book by Soren Kierkegaard called Fear and Trembling.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah, Christian existentialism. Kierkegaard covers these controversial moments better than anybody. Even better than Bonhoeffer, which is saying something. Because in my opinion, Bonhoeffer and C.S. Lewis are the two greatest theologians of all time. But Kierkegaard discusses in depth the significance of Abraham and Isaac, and it's a must read, I think, for anybody who's interested in the deeper issues of Christian theology.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one of my recommendations. And if people ever want me to recommend theological texts, keep in mind I did do a video on this channel where I actually went through all of them. So I would just fish that up. It's from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Kierkegaard and Bonhoeffer are A+ reading material.
Yeah. Okay. John Weitzel wants to know, exterminatus on whoever dismissed the House after it was in session for 40 seconds to block the relief bill. Well, it's kind of moot at this point. But yeah, that was a silly tactic. But
was that the guy who wanted the recorded vote?
Mm-hmm.
Who said he had issues with all the data and whatnot, and he said the government's not telling you the whole story. You know, this is peanuts compared to what needs to happen. If it's that dude, I don't know how to feel, honestly, because yeah, I think that we are missing some key information, and yeah, I kind of think this stimulus bill is peanuts if we're not being given the full picture, and this is much worse than discussed. But at this point, it's like, well, what are you going to do? Are you gonna wait for water to drip out of the faucet, or are you going to turn the damn thing on?
Well, and that's the thing is, they're operating on the idea that we're going to be back to operation by May. I think they say June, but I think that they're longballing it on purpose.
Yeah.
But they're assuming that we're going to be back to business in May, and we kind of need to be.
We do need to be, but I think that is way too optimistic.
I don't think it is, because it looks like the treatments that they're starting to put forward are highly effective.
The malaria drugs?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, I was discussing this with some people in the Discord server. I'm like, treatment is the best thing you're going to come up with at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be about a year before we have a vaccine.
Well, they're going to start human trials in September at the earliest. So, yeah. The whole 18-month timeline for a vaccine is right now, yeah, that's what it's looking like.
Yep. So, the fact of the matter is that we, you know, if we are not back up and running, or doesn't look like we're going to be able to be back up and running in May, then they're going to have to pass another relief bill that's even bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of our taxes are going to increase. Which will suck.
Oh, yeah. That's going to hurt. What I hope isn't going to happen is that we'd go into full-on economic depression.
Yeah.
I hope this is just a recession. I hope it doesn't last long. But there are some projections out there that do worry me. And there are some that are saying as many as like 50% of small businesses could close permanently. And, you know, as someone who has a stake in a small business, that really worries me, especially considering we are almost entirely dependent on events.
Which is why you guys need to be buying coronavirus t-shirts.
Well, not just shirts. We have hats now, too.
There you go.
We did just do hats today. So get them, frontporchapparelco.com. They're there. Search for COVID-19 or just scroll down because they're featured at the very bottom of the main page. Go get them. Go get them.
Another thing to mention, if you guys are looking for commissioned art or some new badass art pieces to hang up in your home, my artist on 3 Nights 4 Days, Preston Acevedo, is selling a lot of pieces right now because he had a lot of show cancellations because of COVID. So if you're looking for some new pieces, you got a few $100 to throw around, definitely go check it, see what he's got for offer. You can find him on Twitter at Nicky the Pipe, and he's obviously a badass fucking artist.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to be launching 3 Nights 4 Days until Englewood is finished. So, and we've started fulfillment on it.
Yeah.
So once the prints are in, actually once the prints are put together, we're going to put together the PDF for that. And then we're going to send out the digital immediately. Because people have been waiting on that comic for way too damn long.
Yeah.
And then once it's looking like Mixum is they're still doing printing, but the problem is that they haven't been printing in the States. They've been printing over in the UK because it's cheaper and having it shipped over. But the problem is that those shipments have gotten stuck in customs.
Yeah.
So I know that the War Campaign guys have had problems with that. So before we print, we're going to have a conversation with them about that. Yeah,
and just full disclosure while we're doing this too, the shirts are no problem because the shirts are in. What might be a problem there is getting ink, because several distributors have pretty much closed up. They're not delivering, not allowing pickup. So it's entirely possible if that happens and if it stalls out, we will, instead of doing a direct-to-garment print, we'll have to do them traditionally screened. They're just going to look a little bit worse for wear, but you'll still see an image of it, before we actually ship them out, so you know exactly what you're getting. But just a heads up in case that happens again. Not guaranteed, but just in case, we have a contingency plan. We are desperately trying to make sure that this ships as on time as possible, considering we've already had multiple delays.
Yep, exactly. Not to mention, were you able to get a line on poster stock?
No, nobody has responded as far as poster stock goes. We do have some poster stock in-house, but not enough to fill all the poster orders.
Yep. So we're just trying to find basically enough to cover the rest of those, and we'll go ahead and get those ready for you guys.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Angry Green Boss wants to know, even though scenario is an accident, would China try to take advantage over us while we're weak at the moment? I don't know how you mean. I mean, they're suffering more from the coronavirus than we are.
Yeah.
They're just lying about it.
The only thing that I think they could take advantage of economically is selling shit that doesn't work, which they have done to Italy, France, and Spain, I believe.
Yeah, but
like
right
hundreds
now,
of millions of dollars of equipment that just doesn't fucking work.
Yeah. Right now, though, they're not really... We're not trusting them one bit.
No,
So I'm not even
they're
worried
not
about
in
it.
any they're not in any position to leverage anything over us. Yeah, we don't trust their numbers. The report just came out today that they've been fudging their numbers. U.S. intelligence has confirmed it. So there is absolutely zero doubt now that China's been lying, and people have been dying, as the saying goes. So no, there's nothing that they could do to us. Even if they tried to invade us to reclaim their debt, nah, they'd be stupid to do that now.
Yep. All right. Supreme Atheist Intellect wants to know thoughts on the UK Home Office declaring making fun of someone's physical appearance as a hate crime. The United Kingdom is becoming a dystopia.
It's like they just can't overcome fear. I don't understand what it is, because it seems like the British people give no fucks. Like of the ones that I know, that I've met, and I'm sure you too, they give no fucks. But this kind of shit is just it's living in fear. And at what point do the Brits have to stand up and say enough is enough, bollocks to this?
Yeah. It's pretty obvious that they have no concept of what free speech is anymore, though.
It's a damn shame, too.
You cannot use law to prevent pain.
No. Especially emotional pain. You will never, ever be able to legislate away hurt feelings. It's just impossible.
Alright. Next question. Physics Hypernova wants to know thoughts on how situations like this affect individual liberty.
Good question.
Yeah, it is, especially considering the whole thing with the pastor getting arrested for that service.
Yeah.
Which, again, I think one of the most salacious things that I've seen has been people saying that he was arrested for having a service. That wasn't what he was charged with. He was charged with public endangerment, which is what he did.
Yeah. There have been a ton of churches that have been moving to online services. I mean, there's a mega church here that's moved exclusively to online services, and they're even having like small group meetings. They've coordinated that. I mean, it's
tomorrow.
Not difficult. Yeah, it's not difficult.
And that's the thing is, so there's two levels to that, and I'm kind of rehashing the video I did earlier today, but I feel like it bears repeating. On the government angle, why you have to ask constantly, why do we have law? And the fact of the matter is that the basic principle of rights is that your rights end where someone else's begin. So if you use what you have a right to do to harm someone else, you can lose it. The government will clamp down on you because somebody else's rights were violated. If you use your position as a pastor, one that is going to carry a lot of influence on people's lives spiritually, to put people in a place of harm, you should be arrested.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what religion you are. It has nothing to do with religion at all. It's the simple fact that you put somebody in a position where they can get hurt, and you did it willingly.
I mean, that just shows a reckless disregard for human well-being.
Yeah. Now, the second part of that is the spiritual element. If you are a pastor, you are a steward of your congregation. It is your job to protect them. It is your job to educate them. It is your job to guide them. If you use that position to put people in a way of harm, you are not a pastor. You're not. You are, at that point, trying to be a cult leader. and you're just flexing at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I am of the belief that this guy, the elders of his church, should kick him out. Fuck him. Seriously. Get rid of him.
Warranted. Yeah. I think it's an interesting question though. Like at what point does protection of life supersede individual liberty?
Yeah, and that's
because
the thing.
I mean that is the function of government, to protect life, liberty, and property.
Yep.
But when two of those are in conflict with each other, what do? How do you decide what's more important?
Yeah, and that's kind of the... I don't really know if I have an answer for that. That's the thing, because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really wants anyone to be hurt by this or get sick, unless like you're just a total prick or something.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that I think that I don't know if it's really becoming an issue in the United States as of right now. Because the fact of the matter is that social distancing, these sorts of guidelines, in some areas, if you're, there's you could get arrested for it, and others not so much. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to say because they actually differ by state and county. Mm-hmm. I don't really think that we've been put in a situation that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it all does seem sensible. Because I mean, let's be real here. Your liberty to move freely, wherever, can be considered a form of reckless endangerment. You would be endangering other people because of how this thing spreads, and especially because 25% of carriers are asymptomatic. I mean, we don't let people drink and drive, for example.
Yeah.
We don't let them, even beyond that. You cannot carry a gun if you're consuming alcohol, even if you know that you are not going to get drunk. You cannot carry a gun with you if you've taken one drink. It's simple, and that's for that same purpose, because you are endangering people's lives. You're being reckless. So I don't have a problem with it on those grounds. I think that's reasonable. Once they start I think once they get past the reasonable and into you can't shop for groceries on your own, or you do have to absolutely stay indoors 24 hours a day. That I think might be going a bit too far, because as it is now, if you need to do essential things, mail letter, get groceries, get medicine, that sort of thing, that's perfectly fine. And I think most people would agree that that's a reasonable solution to this issue. But once it goes a step beyond that, I think is when you really start to infringe on liberty. To go back to the original analogy, once they say you just can't carry a gun in public, or you can't carry one at all, that's when, it goes from reasonable to unreasonable.
Bingo. All right. Alpha Incel wants to know thoughts on Boris Johnson being diagnosed with coronavirus. Could this affect Britain's morale? It depends. I mean, I really don't know. I would have to British people would actually have to answer that one, because I'm really not sure. Most
of the response I've seen so far has been joyous, actually. Which is that illegal? Is it illegal to dunk on the Prime Minister?
I know, right?
Only when he's a Tory, of course.
Of course. Britain, you gotta make up your mind on shit. Anyway, no, I don't think it's gonna affect Britain's morale, and hopefully he gets better. So.
Yeah.
And then finally, Autist Whisperer asks one that'll actually segue pretty well into entertainment. Thoughts on GameStop having to close 300 stores? I knew that they were in a tenuous spot in the first place.
Yeah.
You know,
They haven't done a whole lot to maintain goodwill either. Like I think a lot of this could be avoided if they offered fair prices for trade-ins, and if they did more for the atmosphere in stores as opposed to just piling up a whole bunch of junk and like Funko Pops and whatnot to the point where you feel like you can't turn around without knocking something over. Because let's be real, those stores are not. They're not very well put together, especially now, especially after the ThinkGeek acquisition.
Yeah.
It's gotten worse. And really, I mean, they squandered what goodwill they had left. I mean, they've become a joke, and they kind of dug their own grave on that regard.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that the biggest problem, or that it's not just that, but also the fact that when the industry started using measures to compete with the used game market, they basically started becoming irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, there needs to be some incentive to buy a new copy of a game, and you know, some of them have been good about that. Like, you know, you'll get a free download of whatever if you buy new. You know, like I think Doom 64 was included with Doom Eternal, but like otherwise no. Like there was I think it was EA that did that, like the online passes.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to play a game online, like you had to pay an extra like $10 or something.
Yeah, unless you bought the game new, in which case you didn't have that problem.
Yeah. Like that's not terrible, but for people like me who don't really give a fuck about online, it doesn't do the whole hell of a lot.
Yeah.
But it seems like they've moved to digital distribution anyway now. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I knew that the digital market would be something that GameStop would have a hard time competing with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you have things like Game Pass. Like, good God, it's a great value, but you can't buy that used. Like, the only thing you can get for that in a GameStop store is just a code for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's no incentive to go to GameStop to buy a Game Pass for Xbox.
Exactly.
There's no incentive to even get like Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus or
why go to GameStop and buy a card for it when you can literally just buy it from your computer?
Yeah.
Or on your console.
Yeah. No incentive at all. Like I like some of the physical things that they give away for pre-orders, but even then it seems like they're moving away from that too, because those cost money.
Yep.
And now it's like, new skins or new maps or whatever. The Doom 64 thing I thought was a pretty good idea because, hey, Doom 64, fuck yeah. But I don't know. Like, it's the only reason why I still buy physical games is because I like having hard media. If my internet ever drops, and longtime watchers should know my internet is shit. It's been historically shit. Then I can't play stuff like Game Pass games. I can't keep up with digital stuff. I won't be able to download anything. If I have it on a disc, it's a whole hell of a lot easier for me that way. That, and if I ever go somewhere else to someone else's place, and either they want to try out a game or I want to share it with them, it's a whole hell of a lot easier that way. Physical media is important to me, but I know that I am a dying breed.
Yeah, so it's not what it used to be.
Yeah. I will say this about GameStop, though. I think bringing Reggie in there has the potential to be either great or backfire terribly.
Well, they need somebody with fresh ideas. That's generally what they're looking at right now.
Well, and someone who has goodwill with the gaming community, too. And I think Reggie has arguably both of those, but he at least has the goodwill. At the very, very least, that's what he has.
That I would agree with. All
Hard to
right.
hate the man.
Entertainment time. Crystal Hydra wants to know, my friend, who's a massive Doom fan, wants to get into D&D, wants to make a character based on Doom Guy. What would be the best way for him to make this character? Well,
Barbarian.
watch Goblin Slayer and follow that.
Barbarian. How is Doom Guy not a barbarian?
Because he wears heavy armor.
This is true. Yeah. That's true.
But no, tell him to watch Goblin Slayer, or at least the first 10 episodes. And then, because Goblin Slayer basically starts out in that show as medieval Doom Guy. And just follow that model, and then base your character off that. John Weitzel wants to know, what do you think will be the long-term impact of the coronavirus on pop culture? Will horror movies 10 years from now mention toilet paper hoarding?
Oh, yeah.
It's possible, but...
they'll mention it if only as like a, yeah, we lived through that, didn't we?
I think that within the next year, you're probably going to see a lot more horror movies based on infectious disease actually get greenlit.
Yeah. I think it has the potential to open the door to a new sort of pandemic movie, not like the zombie virus outbreak, but just a general, a virus kills everybody, something that's highly infectious that kills everyone. Like, I know Contagion is the go-to for everybody, but that's not really a horror movie. And just like the latest Planet of the Apes movies are not really horror movies, but they also deal with a global pandemic. And not quite like I Am Legend either, because that is sort of arguably one of the first zombie movies, or not first zombie movies, but the source material. Last Man on Earth was anyway, vampires, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I think it has a lot of potential. It's something that will definitely be revisited because it's a scary idea.
Indeed. All right. Let's see. Black Knight Rex wants to know thoughts on David Harbour blaming fans for Hellboy bombing. Yeah, let's blame the people who actually buy the tickets. Brilliant idea.
I mean, to be fair, he's not wrong. The fans didn't get what they wanted, which was Hellboy 3. The fans were not on board with the idea of a remake in the first place. And that's exactly who you want to cater to when you go into a franchise. When you delve into that, when you adapt a franchise, you're trying to appeal to the fan base. And if the fan base tells you that you're doing it wrong and to go fuck yourself, then maybe go back to the drawing board. But no, they pushed forward, they fucked up, now they have to own it. I mean, I was just talking about this on Twitter today. Like, you cannot disrespect the fans.
Yeah.
If you have a franchise, that is who you owe allegiance to. That is who you have to honor. I mean, you could write the best fucking story in the world in, I don't fucking know, like the Star Wars universe. But if you ignore, of course, depending on placement, say it takes place during the original trilogy. If you ignore some of the key elements of the universe at that point in time, say, like, you don't mention the Empire at all, a bunch of people can suddenly use the Force and shit. If you just ignore the fucking rules, ignore the things that the fans are expecting out of you, then who gives a fuck if you've written the greatest fucking story of all time? People are going to ignore it, and they are going to blast you because you didn't follow the basic rules. Fuck that shit. Fuck the Hellboy remake.
Yeah. Well, and that's generally the thing. Like, do you know who I blame for that remake? Mike Mignola. because he threw Guillermo del Toro under the fucking bus.
And that's the thing. Everybody wanted... Guillermo del Toro wanted to do it so bad. Ron Perlman wanted to do it so bad. Everybody was on board for it. They were like, yes, please, for years. But what do we get? Bullshit.
Yeah, we get a complete reboot that nobody asked for.
I mean, it reminds me of fucking when Sam Raimi was putting together Spider-Man 4, and he said he wanted to take an extra year to make sure that it did things right. Like it would basically be an apology for Spider-Man 3. And then Sony said, no, fuck that. We need this to be on our release schedule, so you need to push it out there as soon as possible. And he said, well, I'm just not going to do that. So they canned the project, rebooted it into the shitty, amazing Spider-Man, and it's still released a year later anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's like it didn't fucking matter. And what we got out of it was bullshit. All because, you know, they have to throw the guy who gives a fuck under the bus. What could have been, man? What could have been? Just like what could have been in Spider-Man 3 had executives not meddled. I'm getting too far off track.
But no, the thing about it is that the reason people are probably wondering why I bring up Mike Mignola is basically before the remake came out, he went on record saying, oh, well, the Del Toro movies didn't really feel like they were mine anymore. And they weren't really, you know, like, they weren't really telling, like, what you kind of see in the comics, da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, the first movie did, and then you had a sequel, which as usual, goes bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like... And then what they were setting up for a third film was pretty awesome. You weren't complaining then, when it was doing really well at the box office. But now that we're so many years removed from it, now you're complaining. You know, I'm like... I was just amazed by him saying stuff like that. Because, especially at the time, superhero movies are doing better than they ever have. It would have been prime to finish off that Hellboy trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you bring back Ron Perlman and all this other stuff, like, and then, you know, you bring it to a really good close. And Mignola is like, no, I want to adapt, you know, something from my comics instead. Well, why can't you wait to do that? It's not like it's a creator-owned project.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you could do that whenever you want. So, he really deprived people of an actual conclusion. It's nobody's fault but his own.
Mm-hmm.
So if David Harbour wants to be mad, he should go talk to Mike Mignola for making a really bad creative decision.
And then go fuck himself.
Yeah.
In that order.
Exactly. Kale Bach wants to know, if I had a stand... Okay, everybody asks this. The stand would be called Megadeth. If it touches you, you die from nuclear poisoning. Next. Okay, Alpha Incel wants to know, BioWare's planning on revisiting some of their franchises? ? What do you think it would be? I hope it's not Jade Empire. I hope that it's not anything. Because BioWare now is not BioWare. If a ship is created, and then over time... every piece of that ship is replaced, is it still the same ship? I would argue it's not. It's a new ship. It's become a completely different beast. And that's basically what BioWare is right now. The only person that they have right now from the older teams that's like in charge there is Casey Hudson, and he's in way over his head.
Mm-hmm. What are they going to revisit? Sonic Chronicles.
Ugh.
Y'all forgot they made that, didn't you?
But, like one of the most worrying things, in my opinion, was when they said, like, yeah, we're considering a remake of Knights of the Republic. Like, I do not trust you with this.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Not in your current form.
No.
You fucked up everything that you've done. Like, the only... when was the last good BioWare game? Like, objectively, like, like, or I should say universally praised?
Universally praised?
Mass Effect 2? I would
maybe?
think. Yeah.
Well, no, Dragon Age 2 wasn't universally praised.
No, it wasn't. So I would say Mass Effect 2.
Maybe, yeah, Mass Effect 2 probably.
So
Mass
it's been
Effect
a decade.
2 was, yeah, it's been a decade. Almost exactly a decade, yeah.
And I say that as somebody who liked Inquisition, but it had problems. Had huge problems. Because, like, all of the new characters were trash. So,
if they were going to revisit anything, it'd probably be Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter Nights, to be perfectly honest.
But that's the thing. Baldur's Gate isn't in their hands anymore. Or D&D anything. Baldur's Gate 3 is being done by a completely different company. It's the people who do the Divinity games.
Oh, that's right.
And that's who I would rather do a KOTOR remake.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And even then, freaking, like... Neverwinter Nights really isn't going to do much for them either. Like, they may as well just stick to Dragon Age at that point.
And that's what they're doing. But
yeah.
The writer of that one has basically said he's going for woke. And then notice how after that was said publicly and a lot of people did videos on it and stuff like that, suddenly BioWare got really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go for broke, go for woke.
I guess. Supreme Atheist Diddlek wants to know, opinion on Sega charging people to play New Game Plus on Yakuza. That's bullshit.
That's stupid.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say on that. That's idiotic.
Yeah, that's dumb. Fuck them.
Eclectic 1995 wants to know, why is anime was a mistake attributed to Hayao Miyazaki? So the story behind that is that somebody being on the internet, because this is what people on the internet do, replaced the and this is me, I might be remembering this wrong, replaced the subtitles on an interview with him basically saying that anime was a mistake.
Yes, that's pretty much what happened. It was just for the meme, basically.
Yeah, it was a meme, and now it's something that gets posted anytime something really weird comes out of Japan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's not a legit quote, obviously, and it's just for the lulz, purely for the lulz.
All right, and final question from 5-Star Golden God says, what's your opinion on Netflix's Golden God? I don't know what that is. I have no knowledge of it.
I don't know what it is either.
Yeah, I
don't pay much attention to Netflix right now. I think the last thing I watched on Netflix was Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue.
Okay, but I can't get over the new Pokemon voice actors. I can't. It's so weird. And Dan Green is Mewtwo, and it's really unsettling because I'm just thinking, oh my god, it's Yugi. Mewtwo, why are you not playing children's card games?
Did Mewtwo activate his trap card?
Well, considering that's the whole plot of the movie, yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Learns the power of friendship, too, which is even better.
Anime was a mistake.
Yeah, Miyazaki was right. Anime was a mistake.
Indeed. All right, folks. That brings us to the end of our show today. Want to thank everybody for giving us questions. We will be returning at 5 o'clock, as of right now, Central Standard Time on Friday, just so you guys know. I might be very exhausted, because Resident Evil 3 Remake comes out on at midnight.
It does happen.
So I will be very tired.
And Final Fantasy VII is
next week.
Next week?
Next week.
By the way, for those of you who have not jumped on the Resident Evil 2 train yet, it's on sale right now for $20.
Yeah.
Go grab it. If you have not already, go grab it. It's great.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 Remake is fantastic, to say the least.
Yep. As for me, I'll be finishing up Doom Eternal because, dear God, the 5th Slayer Gate is giving me pain.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. That's the
it
one
is
with the
when
two
you're playing
cyber
on
demons, right?
ultraviolence. No, that's the one. That's the one with the con bots and the Marauder.
That's it?
And then afterwards, you just get a whole bunch of heavy demons.
I never really found that to be that hard. You know, do you have the rune that lets you slow down time whenever you're in midair?
Yes.
Okay, that's that plus the sniper function on the heavy rifle make that one really, really easy.
Yeah, well, problem is sniper on the heavy rifle, not that great on console. Not that great with a controller. I can't exactly 360 no-scope, so.
Fair enough. Alrighty, folks, we're going to go ahead and take off, though, to get some relaxation in for the evening. So, with all that said, my name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and it's kind of cold out here. I think I'll go back inside and play video games.
There you go. We'll see you guys later this week. Until then, stay slow.